What if I told you that the way you speak to men after 60 can completely transform how they perceive you, pursue you, and treat you? The women who command the most respect, attract the highest quality men, and create the most fulfilling relationships after 60 all share similar communication patterns. They speak differently, not louder, but with more authority. Not more aggressively, but with more clarity. Hi, it's Vernon again. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 powerful ways high-value women connect with men later in life. Now, what I'm about to share isn't about manipulating a man. It's about understanding the kind of communication that helps relationships avoid unnecessary conflict and heartbreak, and instead grow with clarity, respect, and depth. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss insights on mature love, connection, and the beautiful journey of partnership after 60. Give this video a like if you believe that it's never too late to speak and be heard in love. Let's discover that the most powerful version of your voice isn't a younger version. It's a wiser, more confident, more authentically empowered version.
Number 1. Speaking from your center, not your need. There's something profoundly attractive about a woman who speaks from a place of inner fullness rather than inner emptiness. The ancient Taoist concept of wu-wei teaches us about acting from our center rather than from desperation, and this principle transforms how high-value women communicate with men. When a woman speaks from her center, her words carry grounded presence. She doesn't need to convince, beg, or prove her worth. She already knows it. And that energy? It's magnetic. Men can feel the difference immediately. Neediness, no matter how subtly expressed, creates pressure. But presence? Presence creates invitation. When you say, "I enjoy spending time with you," instead of, "Why don't you call me more?" you're communicating from fullness, not fear. When you say, "I'd love to share this weekend with you, but if you've got other plans, that's okay," you're not negotiating for attention, you're offering connection with grace. Speaking from your center rather than your need communicates several things simultaneously. You have options. You know your worth. You're choosing rather than seeking. And you bring value to the interaction rather than requiring it. Studies on interpersonal communication show that people respond more positively to confident, clear communication than to tentative, approval-seeking language. This meant replacing tentative phrases with clear statements, apologies with simple requests, and questions designed to seek approval with declarations of her preferences and boundaries. Speaking from your center requires knowing what your center is, your values, preferences, boundaries, and authentic self. This kind of self-knowledge can only come from years of living and learning about who you truly are. Notice this week whether you're speaking from your center or your need. Practice making statements instead of seeking approval, expressing preferences instead of deferring to others, and communicating from fullness rather than emptiness. This foundation of centered communication naturally leads to something even more powerful: the art of asking questions that reveal character and compatibility rather than chasing connection or approval.
Number 2. Using questions that reveal rather than chase. Socrates understood that the right question can be more powerful than any statement. High-value women over 60 have learned to use questions not to chase men's attention or approval, but to reveal character, compatibility, and genuine interest. qualities that matter far more than surface charm. High-value women don't use questions to chase validation. They use them to reveal truth, to invite depth, and to observe how a man shows up in his own story. After 60, conversations are no longer auditions, they're explorations. And the questions you ask can either pull a man into performance or open a space for authenticity. When a woman asks, "Where do you see this going?" it can come from fear or urgency. But when she instead asks, "What kind of connection feels meaningful to you at this stage of life?" she's not chasing clarity, she's offering it. That kind of question doesn't corner a man, it calls him to reflect. It tells him, "I'm listening, but I'm also watching how you carry your own truth." These are questions that reveal character rather than chase connection. Focus on understanding who someone really is, rather than trying to make them interested in who you are. Have you ever asked a question that revealed more than you expected? Or maybe one that changed how you saw someone forever? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experience in the comments below. You might be surprised who your story resonates with. And as powerful as our questions are, sometimes it's not about what we ask, it's about what we reflect. That brings us to the third way high-value women speak to men after 60.
Number 3. Expressing boundaries with grace, not guilt. Before we explore this transformative communication style, let me connect our discoveries so far. We've seen how speaking from your center rather than need creates respect, and how revealing questions help you assess compatibility. These naturally lead to something even more crucial: the ability to express boundaries with elegant clarity. The poet Robert Frost wrote about good fences make good neighbors, but there's deeper wisdom here about relationships. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're standards that invite the right people in while protecting your peace and dignity. My friend Catherine had spent years either having no boundaries at all or expressing them with anger, guilt, or lengthy explanations that diminished their power. Catherine learned to express boundaries like the elegant woman she was, with clarity, kindness, and absolute firmness. Instead of, "I'm sorry, but I really don't think I can do that because," she would say simply, "That won't work for me." Catherine learned that explaining her boundaries often invited debate. Men would try to fix her reasons or question her logic. But when she stated them simply, without over-explaining, they were more likely to be respected. Her strength was quiet, clear, kind, and unapologetic. I prefer to keep our conversations focused on getting to know each other rather than past relationships. No anger, no guilt, just calm, confident clarity. Catherine's graceful boundaries were quiet tests of character. Men who respected them showed maturity. Those who didn't revealed their incompatibility. By setting limits with calm confidence, not guilt, she honored herself while treating others with kindness. Far from pushing men away, her clarity was attractive. It signaled self-respect and emotional maturity, making connection with her feel safe, steady, and genuine. Catherine discovered that boundaries, when expressed with grace, didn't create distance, they created space for real intimacy to grow. This ability to set graceful boundaries creates the perfect foundation for our fourth communication style: sharing your wisdom and insights without lecturing or trying to fix others. Number 4, sharing wisdom without lecturing. One of the greatest assets mature women possess is decades of accumulated wisdom, but there's an art to sharing this wisdom in ways that invite rather than alienate, that inspire rather than instruct. High-value women have learned to offer their insights like gifts rather than prescriptions. High-value women understand that their wisdom is most powerful when offered humbly and received willingly rather than imposed or demanded. Think about how our communication styles have been building. Centered speaking creates confidence. Revealing questions create connection. Graceful boundaries create respect. Now, wisdom sharing creates depth and demonstrates your value as a companion and advisor. These women speak from experience, not superiority. They'll say things like, "What helped me during that time was," or "I used to see it that way too until." They don't position themselves as teachers or saviors. They simply open a window into their journey, and in doing so, give others permission to reflect on their own. Men don't feel judged around this kind of woman. They feel seen, respected, and gently challenged. Her wisdom doesn't corner them, it calls them up. She doesn't use her years as a weapon, she uses them as a bridge. And that changes the entire dynamic. The conversation becomes less about who's right and more about what's real. When you have insights to share, practice offering them as gifts rather than prescriptions. Ask permission before advising. Share through stories rather than lectures, and position your wisdom humbly. Have you ever connected more deeply with someone simply because they shared their experience without trying to fix yours? I'd love to hear how that shaped the relationship. Drop your story in the comments. Because sometimes what creates the deepest connection isn't what we say, but how we make someone feel in our presence. That leads us to the final way high-value women speak to men, and it's all about energy. Number 5. Speaking your truth with elegant simplicity. The final communication style that distinguishes high-value women over 60 is perhaps the most rare and powerful. The ability to speak their deepest truths with elegant simplicity, without drama, without manipulation, without need for others' approval or agreement. But there's also truth told with elegant intent, honest communication delivered with grace, clarity, and respect for both speaker and listener. There's something profoundly disarming about a woman who speaks her truth, not with force, not with drama, but with elegant simplicity. She doesn't need to raise her voice or wrap her message in layers of explanation. Her clarity is the power. And after 60, high-value women have learned that when truth is expressed with calm certainty, it doesn't need to be defended. It simply lands. She says, "That doesn't feel right for me," or "I'm not available for that kind of energy," without apology and without expecting permission. Her truth is not a performance, it's a reflection of deep self-knowing. And that grounded honesty creates an atmosphere where others can drop their defenses too. This kind of elegant simplicity doesn't diminish intimacy, it deepens it. It creates trust. It shows a man that her truth won't come with emotional punishment or games. It shows him that honesty, in her world, is not harsh, it's liberating. What makes this kind of communication magnetic is that it's free of manipulation.
It's not about convincing someone to agree or react a certain way. It's about letting the truth stand on its own, clean, uncluttered, and whole. The mature man recognizes it instantly. He may not always agree, but he respects it. Because in the end, love after 60 isn't about saying more. It's about saying what matters, with presence, with clarity, and with the quiet strength of someone who's already come home to herself.
As we complete this exploration of how high-value women over 60 communicate with men, I want you to understand something profound. These 5 communication styles, speaking from center, asking revealing questions, expressing graceful boundaries, sharing humble wisdom, and speaking elegant truth. They're not techniques to master, but expressions of who you've already become. Each style builds upon the others to create what psychologists call authentic charisma, the magnetic appeal of someone who is genuinely comfortable with themselves and skilled at creating meaningful connections with others. What makes these communication styles so powerful is that they reflect internal transformation, the shift from seeking approval to expressing authenticity, from needing validation to offering value, from performing for others to being genuine for yourself. When you communicate from this place of authentic power, everything changes. Not just how men respond to you, but how you feel about yourself, how you navigate relationships, and how you move through the world with dignity and grace. Remember, the most attractive version of your voice isn't a younger version trying to please everyone. It's your current voice, refined by experience, strengthened by wisdom, and empowered by the knowledge of exactly who you are. So if this message resonated with you, if you felt seen, affirmed, or simply reminded of the strength you already carry, I'd love for you to support this space. Go ahead and give this video a like, share it with a woman in your life who walks this same path, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future conversations on love, maturity, and the power of authentic connection. And don't forget to click the notification bell so each new video finds its way to you right when you need it most. This is Vernon, celebrating the transformative power of authentic communication in every wise woman's voice. Thank you.